talk to the folks on the border regularly. That's just not true. They are letting basically everybody in. They're not turning away people right now. They're turning away a few, but under Title 42, but they're letting people in and they're citing them and releasing them. And that's what's happening here. They know there's a huge problem. That's why a couple of weeks ago, they opened up. They anticipated this surge. That's why they opened up additional facilities. I've seen some of those facilities and there's nobody in them. Those are now full, and they're going to keep getting full, more and more full. And just think about this. We're already almost at the same level that the highest level of apprehensions we ever did in the 2019 surge took place. That's where we are now, and we're not doing anything to slow it down. In fact, they're actually continuing to encourage people to come across.
Why are they coming across right now? What changed? Well, I know they'll point to a lot of things. They'll say, well, COVID is dying down now, or they'll say that there were a couple of hurricanes. I saw Jen Psaki say that. There are all these different theories out there, but the timing of it is really suspicious, isn't it? Joe Biden becomes president, and all of a sudden, huge numbers of illegal immigrants at what was clearly a crisis, considered a crisis in the past. Huge number of illegal immigrants are showing up at the border. And why would this stop? Think about this. The Biden administration will fundamentally not enforce immigration law in a way that prevents people from gaming the system to get access to the country when they're under our laws not supposed to. Right? That's what's going on here. They won't do it. They're not actually going to enforce the law. So why would this stop? Well, it's not going to anytime soon. And but eventually the only way it stops is if there is some either penalty or some deterrent for showing up and claiming asylum in this way and then gaining entry in the United States. But this is the best, I've said it before, this is the best time ever for a person who wants to be in the United States and doesn't want to have to go through our legal immigration process in good faith. All you really have to do is show up now and then just wait it out until you get to a place of, where you can get amnesty, which is what they're all hoping for here. Now, I want to talk more about the wokeness cult, right? Because for one thing, if you discuss immigration at all, you know why this doesn't bother so many people on the left or some of the elites? For one, they like cheap labor. They generally like that idea. They want the Democrats to have more votes, and they can just retreat back into this psychological safe space for themselves where they'll just say, we don't care what you say about the border. It's racist to have a problem with massive illegal immigration. That's what they'll tell you. They won't even engage on the issue. It's just a race issue. That's what they'll say. Okay, I mean, there's people from all over the world showing up illegally at the border, and we wouldn't want people illegally coming in from any country. But they won't accept that. They won't accept that at all. And once you understand how little room there is for dissent or disagreement with the woke left, you start to understand how we've gotten to this point where we have a de facto open border, where we have the open censorship of the most powerful media companies, social media companies. Remember, they're supposed to be platforms for every person. That's what they were built on, founded on. That was the central promise, was that everybody could have a voice online. Everybody can talk to each other and have their presence. And now that they've gotten ultra powerful, they go, actually, we're going to stop that whole thing. There was no principle involved. We're going to shut you down. Question Fauci, we're going to shut you down. Question the election, we're going to shut you down. That's what they do. Now, anybody who has had a classical small L liberal education would see this and think that this is atrocious. They'd see this and they would assume that there must be a tremendous backlash against this from people who even call themselves liberals in the contemporary American sense. But that's not what's happening. I think we're seeing now there's an awakening of the conservative mind. There's awakening of the reasonable, rational mindset in America, where you see they don't care about double standards. They don't care about these things, these expressions like freedom of speech and the First Amendment and all this. These are just slogans that they were willing to mouth when they had to. These are just slogans that they would say, and they didn't really mean it. And now it's their turn in their eyes. Now they're the dominant force in America today, culturally, for corporations and in politics right now, and they're going to just ram it down our throats. That's their attitude. Doesn't matter what. They don't care about hypocrisy. They don't care about double standards. In fact, they revel in hypocrisy. The woke left thinks that being hypocritical is a privilege of the powerful. They love it. What are you going to do about it, conservatives? That's their attitude. Yeah, we want to crush the GOP forever. What now? They don't worry about fair play or good faith or any of these things. None of that comes into the conversation. That's for chumps. That stuff's laughable, right? Just remember Frank Herbert, Children of Dune. When I am weak, I ask for freedom because that is according to your principles. When I am strong, I demand obedience because that is according to my principles. That is really the central ethos of the American left today. When they're in power, it's shut up and do what you're told or else. When they're out of power, it's hold on a second. You guys promised that we could have the free exchange of ideas and that there are core principles that bind us together as a people and the Constitution and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All that seems gone now, doesn't it? It's just whatever they can get away with, whatever they want, however they want to do things. And you particularly see this with the wokeness cult in schools. And there is a piece I don't often tell you really should read the following, but there's a piece by Bari Weiss, who was at the New York Times. She's a liberal or, a center-left person. She's a Democrat for sure. She was the New York Times. She left because she realized that at the New York Times, you weren't really allowed to publish alternative points of view on the op-ed page. Think about that. I mean, if you want a metaphor, or if you want just clear symbolism of how far the intellectual left has fallen from pretending to have any actual principles or anything that they believe in other than the raw exercise of power and the self-gratification, the gratification of their emotional impulses as members of this cult, all you have to do is look at the fact that you can't even publish opposing opinions on the op-ed page. Can't do it. Risk your career. Just ask anybody who published Senator Tom Cotton about sending in the National Guard. Hold on a second. They sent in the National Guard. Oh, but they did it because of QAnon. Not allowed to do it because of the rioting BLM lunatics. Can't do it. Can't do that. No National Guard. They're trying to burn a church down across from the White House. Can't actually send the National Guard for that. Starting to see a pattern here, aren't you? Raw exercise of power. No principles even worth discussing with the other side. They don't care. And once you get into the wokeness cult in schools, you see just how intellectually and morally decrepit the left has become and how absurd. And they're poisoning our culture. They're poisoning our society, and they're doing it in the places where they believe they get the most bang for the buck. They're going to have the most cultural and economic and political influence over the long term. They are rotting these institutions. They are rotting the people who go to them, these elite schools, rotting their brains from the inside. And we have not even the beginnings of a counter movement to this. We have not even the beginnings of really the pushback that is necessary here. This is a threat to our sense of America, the country that we think we live in. This wokeness cult goes to the very core of it, and in a way where it destabilizes it on purpose and seeks to eliminate and remove some of those, the shared bonds, shared history, shared sense of what this place is all about. The idea of America itself is under assault from the wokeness cult. And these are powerful individuals and institutions that are getting their way. I mean, in ways that I've never even seen before. I mean, you can't even begin to catalog all the different pressures and all the different chilling effects that are happening right now in our society, because the people who are in charge are a bunch of power mad crybabies who want things the way they want them. They all want to pretend to be victims. They all want to pretend that they're brave and good and courageous when they're actually a bunch of mob-minded, petty cowards. That's what's actually happening in the country. And what's going on in the elite schools is Perhaps the best example of it you can find right now, alongside the social media brown shirts that are running around locking down people's accounts and not allowing them to even converse.
Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.